You got me?
Yep, you're there.
Right. Sounds a little echoey. Is that okay?
On your end?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I can't hear
Okay.
myself anymore, so I wondered if you were talking about me for a moment. Oh, I'm still my
Oh
eagle.
no.
Okay, that was yesterday's podcast. I'll
Oh,
change that.
wow. I was just looking at it. I was like, that's an Eagle flight deck. I don't know how they're supposed to I don't know how the person in the left seat's supposed to make right
Oh yeah,
turns.
this is really interesting for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I always loved the Eagle, but then when somebody pointed that out to me, like how like you have such a narrow scope of where you're looking, I was like, oh, that would be awful.
So that's actually bad news to fly pilot an eagle. Okay, well, it's bad news for anyone out except Alan Carter pilot an eagle, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. Why do I have a little box that says Mike Richards? Oh, is my video not
Your
on?
video is not on,
Oh,
which isn't the
that
end of the
will
world.
do it.
There you go. So
That'll
are
do it.
you you're in a place? Yeah, yeah, that's hotel stuff in the background.
That's a hotel place. I want to be gallery.
Hmm. Sorry. Oh, you have
Or
to. There's not a menu option. That's why. Sorry, I was sitting there like, why can't I get rid of the eagle? There we go. Back to
there you
lots of
go.
air.
Lots of air. We got Mark and Luke joining us tonight.
They are on the way. Um,
Good.
they're
That
yeah.
looks better.
This is de-evolved into 2 minutes late all the time. What can you do? You know,
Devolved. I like that.
devolved. Yeah.
Like Genesis. Genesis? Not that Genesis.
Mm.
The classic Brandon Braga penned episode of Next Gen Genesis.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Next Gen, known as Next Genesis. Oh,
I haven't done a next gen for a while. Oh, I'm straight up recording. Okay, I've been recording the whole time. I went straight to recording.
I
That's good.
noticed that. Yeah, I was like, oh man, he's loaded for bear, man. He's like recording.
I I don't know if it's the atmospherics or what today, but I just like usually I wake up at 7 a.m. like no alarm or anything. Today I woke up it was like 8:02, which it's now 8:31. So just like blah, blah, blah,
Hello.
going a
Got
little
it.
hello, going a little
You
addle
want
brain
Nice.
today.
hey,
Mark,
what's up?
nothing. What's up with you, man?
Just getting over sinus infection. Have the gonna have the sexy low voice for this one.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, dude, you got me.
Ah, oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
am. I am. You're in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like Atlanta
Um,
specifically, or
yes, right in the
okay.
middle of Atlanta, pretty much.
You're not one of those like, well,
That's me.
Atlanta's not Georgia kind of
Oh,
guys.
oh no, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm just like I theoretically I should say Doraville, but
I
nobody
Oh
mean,
knows what
yeah.
that means.
I grew up pretty close to Matt. You'll get this reference, but like, there, Atlanta has sprawled so big that there are people who move here who have no concept of anything, and like, um today on Reddit, the Atlanta subreddit, somebody was like, I recommend you go to the Northside Hospital downtown, which Matt knows is like,
I was born there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you know how downtown that is. Like,
Not at
people just
all.
think downtown is like 13 miles north of downtown.
It looks like
um
downtown now, though, doesn't it? It's got skyscrapers.
It
well,
is. Like I would
basic
always call that Midtown. Like when I look at it, it's
yeah.
like, okay, that's like that looks, you know what I mean?
Second
Just
Midtown.
looking at it from the air. Yeah.
uh that's the fun thing about driving north from 400 is you basically see what looks like downtown like three times or four times maybe.
Mark, here I'm giving you
But
permission to record. No, what happened
yeah,
yesterday is I'm on this new computer, right? And it
yeah,
recorded it, and then I'm at work, and it's like your Microsoft Drive is like way full, and it's there. I'm like, oh, I can erase it, right? Because it should be on my computer, but it also erased it from my computer, and then it wouldn't
uh-huh.
restore it because it's like your thing's full. So it was like blackmailing me to do that
Oh
or something.
man, how
I,
much do you pay for that?
nothing.
The
They want
OneDrive?
me to pay. They didn't used
Just
to.
I've
Now
been
they
paying
do.
$2. I've been paying $2 a month forever, and $2 is worth it because that gets you like 150 gigabytes, I
But I
think.
do that for
Yeah.
Apple and stuff. I was like, no, I don't want to give it to Microsoft too. And also,
I
I
give
never told it
$1
to
to
put it
Apple.
in OneDrive. I thought it was like directly on my computer, but it was in a
Yeah,
OneDrive folder. So it was, yeah.
yeah. Microsoft is moving closer to what the Apple model is, unfortunately. Because I mean, if you probably don't mess with Xbox Game Pass, but there's a whole thing where Xbox Game Pass, I don't know if I'm getting too into the weeds here, but it creates a folder that you don't have permissions to access on your hard drive. So I was trying to, I don't know, get something out of there. I was like, oh, well, yeah, why don't I have permission to access this? I'm the administrator. I'll give myself access to all this. And it broke everything. It ruined
Ah,
everything.
I mean,
It's like, no,
is Zoom owned by Microsoft now?
Skype is.
Did I
I was just
did,
talking about
oh, did I
Microsoft
just link
specifically.
Mark? Oh, I just linked Mark. Oops. Okay, that's why
What?
Luke's not there. I put it
Oh,
into just yours,
oh,
not
okay.
both of oops. Just sent it
But yeah,
to Mark.
I tend to get a sinus infection like once a year, and this
Yeah,
has
it's no fun.
been not a great one, all things considered. I guess
My nose is just garbage for all of January and February, so
yeah, I mean I guess going into the whatever the hell I did last year to myself doesn't I don't get to claim that I never get sick as much.
I've been
Yeah,
claiming that pretty well recently. I've been owning that recently.
I know maybe I'll bounce back better, but uh
Yeah, I didn't
what's up?
start getting a flu shot until a few years ago, and it's made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I
Only
never got one until I was like in my late 30s, really, and then never got the flu. I was just,
A couple of years
no.
ago, like I had one that it just usually was about a week. I'd get one in the fall, one in the spring. Was kind of inconvenient, but not terrible.
I'm immune
I
to
had
all
one that
disease.
was just about turned into
Mhm.
fucking pneumonia, and ever since then, I'm like
Jesus.
getting too old, man.
Yeah,
What'd you say, Luke?
I said I'm immune to all disease.
Yeah, just give it a few years.
I got stuff festering in my body that they don't have names for yet that can pretty much ward anything off. But
All right.
every
Like
once in
the
a while, something sneaks through.
the Mr. Burns bit where he has so many diseases, none of them can fit through.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I come from like a kind of a dirty, like not super hygienic family. I don't want to say dirty, but like
I
not
come from a dirty family.
not very clean people, and I do credit that at least partly for my resistance.
Considering the topic we're about to talk about, I come from an unclean people could have very different connotations.
All right.
I'm uncomfortable with this conversation.
None of us are Jewish, right?
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I
I
think
got a
about
little
that.
bit in me, but not really.
I'm 1/8. I'm 1/8 Jewish.
Okay.
Are you really?
Americans
No,
are
I
always
don't
1/8
know.
something or other.
No,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
1/8
referring
Native
to.
American,
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to
1/8
Brad Pitt in the
Jewish,
movie.
1/8
I mean,
descendant of George
yeah.
Washington. What just
Hey, I'm just learning this now. Maybe you guys knew this, but Eli Roth actually directed a 7-minute short for the movie you see in this movie.
Oh, that's
didn't know
cool.
Yeah, I saw because
Okay.
when I pulled up it on IMDb, both the film and
That's what I just had happen.
Nation's Pride. Nation's
Mhm.
Pride came up too. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I just
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed I didn't know that till just now.
I might have known it 15 years ago, but man, left my brain at some point.
I didn't do my usual like wiki read because I just woke up. Luke, did you just wake up?
I woke up like a half an hour ago.
Yeah, that's where I am. Just like
Oh,
usually.
we should crack on because I literally have to leave at 9:30.
Oh, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
I have an
84?
interview with a candidate, so.
Right.
Cool.
What, you got a number from? Did you say 84?
Mark, can you verify?
Oh, fuck. 1 second.
I guess. Oh no, I'm on the wrong computer to verify. Mark's
Just
job
give me
now.
a second. I have to pull it up and Microsoft Word, which I did not pay for.
Not
Just
working
want
on this
everybody to
computer.
know that. I want everybody to know that Microsoft, even though Matt doesn't want to give Microsoft any money, I'm actively stealing from them.
Nice.
Fuck. Okay.
So I guess Luke, just if we're still going, just pop
Oh
out.
man.
Leighton. I mean, you've done that
Oh,
before,
yeah,
so
of
you have no
course.
qualms.
Sorry, this is
I
like
wasn't waiting for your permission, Matt.
stupid old list that doesn't have the damn
Oh, well, you
numbers. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. 84.
84.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got there as you said it. In at number 84, it's Inglorious. Bastards.
Mm. Oh, how long are we going to go until we break Godwin's law? Invoke Godwin's law. How far can we make it in this movie?
Stop trying to tell us what to do, Hitler.
Telling you. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yes, it's Inglorious Bastards. It's Films and Filth. the Citizen King of podcasting. I'm Matt here. There's Mark there. Say hello, Mark. I'm telling you what to
Hello,
do.
Mark.
Okay, you tell someone what to do.
Luke, you say hello.
Ich habe Luke.
Okay, that's close enough. Coming back from mission log to Orville. It's Mike Richards. Howdy.
Howdy. I don't want to say hi, and if I don't, I think I might get chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
You did say hi actually in that sentence. It's embedded.
Oh yeah, I guess. Hey, it's Mike from Mission
What's-
Log the Orville. How you doing?
Is that Howdy's Law?
How to duty's law.
Howdy's Law.
How
You
to
follow
do.
the law of how to duty.
Okay.
So, Inglorious Bastards. Mark, you said this is your favorite QT, is it?
Yes, it is. It still is.
I have for me, this was the third time I've watched this movie. I had this thing in my head that the first scene was like impossible to get through, which it kind of is. I mean, it's a great scene, like, one of the best in cinema. But the first time I saw this movie, I was really smashed. So I guess it was like that much more intense, and I haven't been willing to watch it since. So watching it this week, I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You want to know something funny, Matt?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
This is only the second time I've seen it.
You just like it, okay? I liked it.
No,
but
I just don't. I don't rewatch things very much. And actually, I had actually ordered the disc because I was like, screw it, might as well buy this if I already know I really like it.
did it show
And
up?
it's been in Atlanta for 4 days, and UPS still hasn't delivered it. Like UPS is literally Hitler. I am literally hiding underneath floorboards waiting for this free shipping from Target that they've botched completely. Anyway, but I watched it some other way.
For verification, here it is. Then it started skipping, and then I had to ahoy you matey it anyway. So
Well, yeah, sort of in the same boat then.
yeah.
But
So
I also ended up watching this in a terrible way. I watched it on Japanese Amazon Prime, but there are like extended scenes in this film in French and German where I only had Japanese subtitles.
Oh no.
Oh,
The way Amazon Prime works here, the subtitles are just built into the film. You can't turn them off because it's for a Japanese audience, and there's no option to switch to any other subtitles. So even in the English scenes, there's Japanese subtitles. Fine, that doesn't bother me. But then in any other language, there's only the Japanese subtitles.
Jeez.
you're about to do what, 3.5 hours of Japanese? I went to the musical, the JoJo musical. You're
Oh,
about
yeah.
to 3.5, no,
Yeah.
3 hours. There's an intermission, but
Yeah, I can hear Japanese a lot better than I can read it, though.
that I'm not sure what I would say actually. I think I might be better off reading it. But bottom line is, Luke and I are both terrible at Japanese. So was it your first time? Model view?
No, I did see it years ago, but I feel like I probably watched it at a house party with friends or something. Because I feel like this is the first time I properly sat down and watched it.
Okay. No, I'm just like Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill. I've just seen those movies like an insane number of times. So it was kind of weird for me. As Tarantino's career goes along, it's like his films are still good, but less rewatchable. I mean, Django is great, but it's on our list, but it's not something you just throw on every other month or something, you know?
I don't know see, because I've never felt like that with his previous films. I think I'm with Mark that so far this is my favorite of his films that I've seen.
I sort of figured you'd like it. Or would
Yeah,
you
of
like it
course
your
I
second
did.
time? Yeah.
No, like I think I said in the last one we did that my top 3 is not on the list because that's basically Jackie Brown, Once Upon a Time in America, and Kill Bill Part 1, none of which are on our list. So
I do need to revisit the Kill Bills though.
Oh yeah.
There may
I
be
have
a
watched
good
them since they came out.
And
I think
you
there
live
may
in
be a
Japan,
good
that should be funny.
release.
You've been
Rumored to be a
Okinawa.
good release of those soon, like an actual good Blu-ray release.
Oh,
etc.
this is funny. Like Kill Bill, like in Japan, did not have the black and white part. It was in color. So when they put it out on Blu-ray in Japan, the marketing was like special US version. That's the only one you can get now. So even in Japan now, you can only get the one with the black and white fight sequence in the end. You can't watch it in color unless you find an old DVD.
I didn't mind the black and white, but
It's
I don't
cool.
know.
But you want to watch in color, right? At least
I haven't
once.
really seen. I don't think I've seen the color one, so we'll see.
Yeah. Mike, this is your request. Was that a I need to watch it, or I dig it, or I hate it?
Second time watching it. So I watched it. I did not see it in a theater, but I did watch it streaming. Around when it hit the streaming market 10 years or so ago. I think it's a 2014 film. Is that right?
2009.
2009 actually.
2009.
Yeah.
2009. Okay, so I watched it probably 2010 or so when it hit the streaming market, and this was it. I had to rent it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I'm into this for $3.99.
Same,
Oh, man.
But same kind of thing. Watched it. Felt like I followed it a lot better this time. Just from what I feel like watching it the first time. But man, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd say I still think for me, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood edges it out for me for favorite QT movie. But yeah, I'm all about the Kill Bill rewatch too. I mean, the way that parts 1 and part 2 contrast against each other. If you think you were going to see more of the same in part 2, man, you would be mistaken.
Yeah, I would say part 1's better, but it is nice that they're distinct flavors. I mean, I guess it's like this movie has its chapters. You watch it a second time, the chapters make a little bit more sense.
But yeah, I was
Right.
really interested watching it. So obviously the last Tarantino we did was Reservoir Dogs, which is almost entirely like a bottle episode of a movie. But this film
Yeah.
also is just a few scenes, really. Just extended scenes in like one location, then an extended scene in another location. It's interesting sort of structure to it to me.
See, the main reason I like this better than Kill Bill 1 and 2 as a whole is because that does an interesting thing where Kill Bill 2 kind of makes you like regret being super cool with violence. But this movie, the violence is pretty much justified, like, the good guy violence.
I love
Nazis.
I love any
guy
film with
violence.
Nazis as the baddies because it's just like, cool, I don't have to worry about this at all. Like,
Yeah, it's just
I only
catharsis.
recently introduced my girlfriend to Indiana Jones. She hadn't seen any of them. And she's like, we watched the newest one at the cinema, and she turns to me like, I loved it because all the Nazis died. And like, we were watching it, and
Yeah.
she turns to me and she's like, I hope Indy gets the Nazis. And I'm like, don't worry, he always does.
I have notes here, like, why does 100 Nazi scalps sound perfectly reasonable to me?
Yeah,
Which
'cause
maybe
it's
it
always
should-
okay to
should
kill
it?
a Nazi.
Okay.
I mean, I was kind of like, I might question the judgment of how long you might take to scalp dudes if people are still shooting at you, but obviously they mostly were
But
doing
this
that
was like
after
guerrilla
they were done.
warfare. This
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah, and it's probably factored in. It's like, okay, if you kill 500 Nazis, maybe you'll have time to scalp 100 of them. Like there might be like a ratio there, so that like one successful scalping, you can kind of correlate that to number of kills.
No, I mean, obviously, if I'm being reasonable, the majority of soldiers in the German army were not actual practicing Nazis, right? They were young men who were conscripted to fight for their country. But, when you've got SS officers and stuff, or you've got literal Hitler, I want to see them gloriously gunned down in the most ridiculous violence you've ever seen. That's why I love Wolfenstein.
Yeah. I mean, Wolfenstein made FPS's work before anybody was debating the first two major FPSs are you shoot Nazis and then you shoot demons.
Yeah.
It's like those perfectly justify themselves.
I was about to say I jumped over to Doom pretty quickly as possible from Wolfenstein because the comparison was in 1995 was notable.
I'm
I
pretty
know
sure
it's
I went
never
Doom
cool
first.
to just quote a tweet on a podcast, but I did see someone pointing out that theoretically the Doom guy is qualified to be Pope because he's a devout Catholic and a virgin.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how Doom happens. Okay.
No, I really want them to make a Doom sequel where he becomes Pope.
It could happen. I don't know. Did you play Doom Eternal? There was a lot
I've got
of
it downloaded,
church
but I
stuff.
haven't played it yet.
I played some of it, and there is a lot of weird church stuff that I found very amusing in it, but I haven't finished it, so I don't know.
I've on the Switch for dirt cheap. I've managed to get the entire Doom series. So
yeah, they're doing some crazy sales here and there.
Yeah, even my Doom Eternal was like $9.99.
Yep.
Anyway, should I do a little plot summary?
Do it.
Lieutenant Aldo Rain leads a crack squad of Jewish American soldiers behind enemy lines to kill Nazis and strike fear. Shoshana Dreyfus, survivor of an SS raid in France, hatches a plan to kill the German high command in a movie theatre, and so Rain and his team hook up with British intelligence officer Charlie Hickox and German actress Bridget von Hammerstein. Many things go wrong, but in the end, the cinema burns, Hitler and Goebbels get gloriously gunned down, and Rain carves a swastika into the head of their SS traitor.
Nice.
All right. I was sitting here looking at the cast list and realized I was looking at that short film, which only had 2 actors. So I was very confused.
Weird.
Okay, I was just, we usually talk about actors here, and I was looking
Just
up.
Baron Zemo.
Yes. I was looking up Shoshana, who isn't someone I actually know that well. Okay, interesting.
I did spot in a very minor role the family that was keeping the Dreyfuses at the start. One of the sisters is, I forget the actress's name, but she's the one who ended up being the love interest in the last couple of Bonds.
Her, yes. I know who you're talking about. I don't remember her name. I
Wait.
just remember her being horribly miscast because she's very
Wait,
good in other things.
Yeah, she had zero chemistry with Daniel Craig.
Wait, someone was a love interest for 2 Bond movies? That's, I don't know what? You blew my mind.
Right.
You haven't caught up with the recent ones, I guess.
No.
Okay.
Oh, well. That doesn't exactly motivate me to, but I do need to at some point.
The last one's very good, but that
It's
would
good
probably
apart
be...
from his scenes with her.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
And especially after Daniel Craig spent like 2 or 3 films getting over the love interest he had really good chemistry with.
Although I guess it's been a few years, I can admit, Luke and I podcasted about that film, and I did take a 20-minute movie nap in it. So I was talking about the film having taken a movie nap. Oops. 2 years later.
Never fallen asleep during a James Bond film. That's a fun fact.
Never say never again.
I've never fallen. Oh wait, I was about to say I've never fallen asleep in a movie theater, but I have when I'm watching Japanese films without subtitles, because my brain, when it's just hearing a language I don't quite speak, is just like, oh, this is background noise. You don't have to listen to this.
That makes
sense. And then I start drifting off.
Anyway, someone say Melanie like you're French. Melanie
Melon.
Laurent. That's her name.
Melon.
She is the voice actress for the French version of The Simpsons.
Oh, neat.
So
Which role?
Which character?
It doesn't say. It just says
all of them.
Yeah, all of them. It just says
who was she in this?
Shoshana, because she's not an actress I know.
That's funny, because in my notes I said the first time I ever heard the name Shoshana was in The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
Remember when there's some scene where Snake is like, "Come on, Shoshana."
Okay.
And they get on a motorcycle.
Time becomes a loop. Time becomes a loop.
My head.
Time becomes a loop. Time becomes. I'll stop that now.
Yeah.
So
this script was written. He started the script in 1998, and it sounds like most of it was written then. So it's interesting that this is kind of very close to Jackie Brown, which is also kind of famously another Tarantino not up his own ass movie for his stuff.
He didn't. I think he did. Did he write Jackie Brown though? I mean, that was Elmore Leonard, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he adapted it. I don't know. I feel like that was very Tarantino for an adaptation. So,
yeah. Okay. That's for sure. So what was made between that? The Kill Bills and Death Proof, which everyone has now forgotten about, I guess. I don't know.
Oh no, I remember how much I hate Death Proof.
Okay.
What do you hate? Which part do you hate more? The zombie from outer space or the death car?
Oh no, I love Planet Terror. I just don't like Death Proof. And I like the first like 20 minutes of Death Proof. It's just that he commits to doing cool grindhouse stuff at the beginning, and then the rest of it just drags forever. I mean,
I'll give Kurt Russell
car stunts. Kurt Russell's great. I can't criticize Kurt Russell in any way, but I don't like the way the film flows.
I'm pretty much on your page on that, because I do think about what happened. Kurt Russell was so good in that, and who was the lead actress? That was his stunt lady that he tried to kill.
Zoe Bell, I think.
Yeah, she was good in that too, but the rest of it was just a little flimsy.
Uma Thurman's stunt double, who Uma Thurman was almost killed during doing stunts for Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So
and Rose McGowan was the lead in Planet Terror, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Machine Gun Leg. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fantastic. Anyway.
So this is one of my favorite to that is kind of crazy. I mean, that's a pretty big jump in quality.
So the line on Wikipedia was that he started writing this in 98, but couldn't figure out the ending.
Yeah. Well, that
he nailed it.
couldn't figure out the ending. Couldn't figure out the ending, but also it was the thing where he didn't find his Landa for a while,
Mm.
and I couldn't parse like how much of it was one and how much was the other. But obviously, the huge centerpiece is how insanely good that guy is.
Yeah, speaking
role.
of people who show up in Bond movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
forgot.
well,
So would
he's
you
a lot better
just?
here
I
than
mean,
he's in Bond.
I mean,
so
he's better
speaking
here
of
than
the
in that
ending,
Terry Gilliam movie.
I mean, speaking of the ending, is this like would this just be like categorized as historical fiction or like
Yes.
alternate reality,
Oh
or
well,
how would
this
you?
is the birth of the Tarantino universe, and the reason his other films are so violent is because in this universe, Hitler was actually killed in combat, and it created a culture where violence was more acceptable.
Hey, did you know that the
Done.
Toy
Yeah.
Story, that
All the
the Toy
Pixar films
Story
are in the same
universe? Yeah,
universe.
all those in the same
And
universe. I don't know.
they went back in time, and then in Brave, they accidentally create the universe where toys come to life. And yeah, I hate what MCU has done to these conversations.
Yeah, there was an article I read that just came out today that said X-Men 97 will not be canon in the Marvel universe, and almost all the comments said good. Nobody
Yeah, like no
wants
shit.
anymore.
97?
Nobody wants.
It's
It's
they're
the
doing a sequel to the animated series.
Oh, okay.
yeah. The basic nobody wants Charles Xavier to be hanging out and just like gently drop, oh wow, what do you think I have, Tony Stark money? It's just yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
But yeah, I guess this is the Christopher Watts' first big film, is it? I'm looking at
Wow.
his actor list.
Yes.
Yeah, I just remember. Yeah,
discovered
well,
for this basically.
okay, yeah, everything before that sounds very German names. Unter Verdach, der letzte Zuger,
He's
Verzauberung.
Nice.
like him, and basically all the sort of more SSE scenes could come from a much more grounded movie, because he does such a good job of like, I can believe that he did terrible things, but also just other people would just treat it as normal and he could function and live, right? Because that's the real horror of something like the Nazi Germany is,
Right.
yeah, they were doing these terrible things, but he could sit down to lunch with someone and act like none of it was happening.
Yeah, I mean, this
And he
was
really
an
captured that.
educated, articulate, intelligent individual that bought into this philosophy of, we are better than they are, and it's okay for us to kill them. And that is something that a lot of people bought into, and they didn't need to be
Yeah.
insane to do it. They just needed to buy into it, and it's insane that they did, and it's insane that we are, and it's
Yeah, the banality of evil, right?
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know if it's partly the writing, but it's incredible how much it doesn't feel like he's psychically figuring out what's going on, even though he like hones in on everybody basically.
Mm.
Like
It's experience, isn't it? Once
Yeah,
you have
it's
enough experience, I have learned this through teaching. You get enough experience, and sometimes you feel psychic because you know what everyone's going to say.
kind of evil Sherlock Holmesian almost.
Yeah, well, he even says, right,
Moriarty.
he's a detective,
Yeah. All right.
presumably
Alrighty.
before.
I would say, yeah, definitely in
Yeah.
that opening scene. Now he did have the good fortune of, the actress signing an autograph and leaving it in the tavern, which, I mean, that's probably not a great thing to do in a double agent meet and greet, but I mean, he was able to find that and realize something was afoot.
I was
Oh, very nice.
I'm sorry.
no, no. Well, that was yeah.
It was kind of weird watching this time. I think Daniel Bruhl, Baron Zemo, stuck out to me a little more because he's like in progress. Like 2 years earlier, he was probably like the, what do they play in Germany? What is the big sport? I guess
Soccer.
high school soccer king, and now he's like,
The
80%
Bundesliga.
down the road to full-fledged SS bastard with an A, not an E.
Yeah, I mean, he was a great, I don't know, creepy murderer guy. I mean,
That is the thing, though.
believable.
Did he stick out more to me now because I had just watched some of the Marvel movies again, so I just had my Zemo?
I didn't put it together until just now. This time I felt like maybe I'd seen him in something else recently and did not look it up.
No, I watched Civil
So
War like a month ago, so
there you
it's
go.
fresh on the mind, you know.
Yeah, he's
Right.
got a period look to him, so I can see why they went with him.
And I'd
He was-
completely forgotten Michael Fassbender's in this, so I had to look it up. Wait a minute, is that
Right.
Fassbender?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
playing
was,
such
and
a
for so
Fassbender
short.
role as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great role. I loved I thought he did just a phenomenal kind of balance back and forth of British and trying to jump into the SS role. Not very long in the movie, man. It kind of reminded me a little bit of if he was Bill, if anybody went to see this movie for Michael Fassbender, they were kind of as disappointed as going to see Godzilla for
Bryan Cranston, yeah.
for Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, previous to
Uh.
this, he had basically just been on some TV stuff and the movie 300. So this is
So this is
extremely
pre First Class.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
it
2
would
years
be.
earlier, yeah. So,
and
so
I just happened to hit the the X-ray button on Amazon during the scene with Mike Myers just to make sure that was him, and saw that was Rod Taylor playing Winston Churchill, and I was like, Rod Taylor? Holy
I
crap.
missed that.
Shout out to all of America. Stop casting Michael Myers in British roles.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you to
There are
rate his
60
British
million
accent.
of us. You don't need to.
Yeah.
He's not good at it. I know you will think he is, but he's really not.
I rated his accent 7 out of 10, which is probably generous, but this is a year after The Love Guru, so maybe he was just
Yeah, he was taking anything.
desperate for something. Yeah, he's
This was
please.
his apology tour.
I'll
That
just
wasn't
do the
makeup.
Austin
He
voice.
just aged that much in that year.
The other guy in that one scene, the guy who played Hugo Stiglitz, it was interesting. Did I say that right? Stiglitz. Yeah. He refused to put on a Nazi uniform because he was German. He refused to put on a Nazi uniform unless he killed a Nazi in every scene he wore the uniform.
Yeah.
So like that hatred in that dude was real.
So me and Matt have a German colleague. And I remember a kid said something in Japanese, something innocuous, but it sounded a little bit like Sikayo. And the way like the hair stood up on Oliver, and he's just like, huh? Like they're trained to spot that shit and hate that shit.
Wow.
And also, Oliver says that since this movie, now everyone knows the German 1, 2, 3 thing.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten that until I saw this movie. Scene, no, I remembered it. Yeah, yeah, I did not when I first saw it. Matt, I was thinking when I was watching this about how you talked about how the scene at the beginning was so tense, and I was kind of cataloging that there were a lot of tense scenes in this. Do you have a ranking? Do you have a new most tense scene? Because I feel like maybe the bar scene was more tense than that. But
I was gonna throw out the bar scene. I think for me the first one just will forever sit in my brain as being tense, even though it wasn't quite as insane watching it this time. But I like the bar scene. What we spend like 10 or 15 minutes with all these people, and then they're just instantly gunned down in like 3 seconds. Like none of that mattered that we were watching for the past 10 minutes. So I thought that was like pretty funny watching it this time around. So that's more funny than tense, I guess. But obviously there's tense in that scene, but then none of it matters, which is probably par for the course if you really want to talk about a war, realistically.
I think my difference with the bar scene is it's not like with the first scene, it's just civilians and they're going to get killed. Whereas in the bar scene, it's everyone here is armed and it's going to be a bloodbath. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like it's tense, but it's a different kind of tense. It's more like I'm a little bit excited.
Yeah, they technically came here to die, and I mean, I don't know, to risk their lives anyway. So it's not like
I mean,
it's not like if it goes wrong,
it
they die and the baddies get away with it. It's if it goes wrong, everyone in this room dies.
The bar scene is typical Tarantino beats. I mean, just with dressing. I mean, we saw that.
It's a powder keg, and there's
Reservoir Dogs.
The matches in there.
Whereas the opening scene is something a little.
The opening scene could be from any Nazi movie, right? Like I said, it could be from a much more grounded and serious movie.
Has anyone seen the Paul Verhoeven movie Black Book, which came out 3 years before this?
Oh, I haven't actually, but I do know that. I remember it being advertised.
I feel bad for missing a Verhoeven.
Oh, it's very good. It's worth going back and watching. It's more serious than this, but it's kind of it's a revenge plot. that's
Nice.
kind of okay. It's not similar to this, but the revenge plot from this, there's a revenge lady in it, and it's pretty cool. I do recommend it, but it's not, it's not as wacky as this at all.
But before we
I
veer
don't
too,
think many films go as wacky as this ending.
well,
which I wish they did.
Verhoeven has done movies as wacky as this. It's just not
Oh, that's
that
true.
one.
Yeah. I want to see RoboCop versus Hitler.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I guess we do need to talk about Brad Pitt before we get off the actors, because I feel like this is the peak of his star power, yet he's far from the most notable role in this movie.
Yeah, he's not overly Brad Pitting it.
This is
Yeah,
the only movie he did.
He
for
looks like a
Weinstein.
guy from a war movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he earns his good actor hat.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I really like Brad Pitt. I think
he's
he's great
incredible.
in everything.
Yeah,
You
this
wanna
is the
watch
only
Fury?
movie.
I guess that's him doing a more
No.
like straight-laced World War II thing. That's World War II, isn't it?
That's the one with LaBeouf as well, right?
So I was sort of looking at the Venn diagram between Fury being a World War II film, this and Tarantino movies, which this and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Was he any others besides this one and that one?
I don't think so.
Talking about Tarantino movie?
Who's in the Hateful Eight? I've never seen it.
He's not in that.
That's a movie that doesn't exist anymore, I guess.
I was gonna say
Kurt
because
Russell is.
yeah, because Weinstein threatened Gwyneth Paltrow at some point. This was the
probably
only
threatened
movie that Brad
everybody.
Pitt did for the Weinstein Company, specifically to work with Tarantino. So
Okay, good for him
that's
for
how much
staying
he
away
wanted
from the
to do this.
Weinstein Company.
I mean, I
I
good for him
cringed
for
when I
doing
saw
this.
that in the closing credits. I was like, yeah.
Oh, I cringed right at the start with a bumper. Actually, I'm reading is it Peter Eckstein's book? The guy that wrote Easy Riders and Raging Bulls around 2003. He wrote about 90s independent cinema, and it's Weinstein open secret. He's saying everything in 2003, just short of Weinstein actually going to prison, but just it's like everyone knew this guy was a disaster.
That's so often the case, right? Like in the UK with our
Savile.
many famous pedophiles. Most of them were an open secret.
Yeah.
But powerful men get away with shit.
Yeah, what was it? Johnny Rotten called out Jimmy Savile on TV in like 1975 or something.
Well, 77, but yes.
Okay, close.
Matt, he said 1975 or something. I think 77 is included in that.
That's the year
Damn.
punk broke.
Well,
Actually, 91's the year punk broke, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Nazi punks fuck off, to get back on topic.
1981 for that. Anyway.
But yeah. Actually, the whole crew of them, though, the Inglorious Basterds. I mean, Eli Roth, of course, is also here. And they're like so inconsequential to the film.
Yeah, it felt like I was watching it thinking like, wait, am I watching a different film and Inglorious Basterds is a spin-off they made afterwards? Because the Inglorious Basterds aren't in this very much.
Yeah, it's chapter 2 of 5 is Inglorious Basterds, and that's like the most time you spend with them.
Yeah.
And Eli Roth was basically Bugs Bunny in this, and I didn't really put that together the first time I saw it, but it's just literally just if you inserted Bugs Bunny, he would be doing this. Like hitting a guy with a bat and yelling that stuff. So
let me look up the 1978 film The Inglorious Basterds with an A. In 1944, France, a group of escaped American military prisoners en route to Switzerland volunteers to steal a German V2 rocket warhead for the Allies. Okay, nothing whatsoever to do with
no
this movie.
resemblance.
Other than
it's probably like how there's a 50s
Rated
movie
G.
called Fast and Furious.
Yeah, rated G. Okay, whatever the Dirty Dozen did, they do it dirtier. That's a good
Wow.
tagline.
Back when you could just do stuff like that.
Speaking of
Sega's doing what Nintendo don't.
Sonic smokes cigarettes. Anyway,
SNES is doing what
that's how
Genesis
you run so fast. They're speed cigarettes.
Yeah, Sonic does speed. Does Mario do speed? No, I didn't think so.
No, he just does shrooms.
That's right. So this movie lost the Oscar to The Hurt Locker. Did anybody see The Hurt Locker? I have not seen it.
Oh, right.
That was the
I'm
bomb
deliberately waiting to
disarming
watch
guy.
The Hurt Locker, so that I'm pretty sure I'm going to come out on the side of Avatar should have won the Oscar, not The Hurt Locker. Because everything I've seen of The Hurt Locker is like, I think if you go back to it now, it's kind of a little bit in a way
that's
that
what the
Avatar is
impression.
deliberately anti-military. So
And also,
I
I
can't
mean,
wait to get really, really on my bullshit about that. I
well,
think it's
and
on
you
our
know,
list, right? The Hurt Locker.
I don't
no, it's
think it
not.
is.
It's
Is it not?
7.5.
Oh, good.
And you know, she's you know, Catherine Bigelow is James Cameron's ex, right?
Yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
directed
Oh,
Hurt
yeah. I
Locker,
remember it
so
being a whole thing.
James Cameron
I,
has lots of
I
exes.
I remember just hearing specifically about their marriage was them waking up in the morning and yelling at each other about like problems with each other's scripts, which sounds like just absolute hell.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
That could be constructive, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't mind, you know, being with somebody who's doing the same thing, but the idea of just having breakfast and being like, well, that character doesn't sound relatable. What do you mean the whale has a sordid history?
Huh? The
I
whale.
love
Avatar
I
2.
I love
I
that the
love the
whale has a
whale.
sordid
The whale was
history.
the best. That was the best thing
That's
about
the-
the film.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, the whale has a sordid history, and then whale fucks
Then it
everybody up.
sliced a
Sorry,
dude up.
spoilers. Yeah, it fucks people up. Anyway, yeah,
Peak
Avatar 2.
cinema.
Yeah, peak cinema. Anyway,
Sorry, it sounded like you're going like you wanted to have
yeah,
a
I was
thought, but
gonna.
there was no
I had
thought.
another thought. I have another thought because I just
I
don't
just
do my
think the
notes very
military
well.
industrial complex couldn't let Avatar or Inglorious Bastards win.
Yeah, it makes
I think
sense.
it's all a conspiracy.
Well, this is definitely not. I mean, Americans do things in this, but they're not. You know, they're kind of real Americans in this. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to say it. It's like these are very realistic Americans. But
I love the question that Diane Kruger, Bridget von Hammersmark, it wasn't even a question. She was just like, God help me, I know none of you Americans speak a different
Yeah,
language,
I
do you?
speak a little bit of
I was like,
Italian.
yeah, I speak a little Italian.
He speaks
With
the
an
third
atrocious
most.
accent,
How
I'm sure.
much? None.
Arrivederci.
That's what I said. Third most.
that is exactly how I would have handled that situation. That's how much Italian I know. Well, okay, maybe I would attempt to have an accent, but yeah, I don't know any.
Scusi.
Luke, how much
That's
spin
great.
do you try
They
to
did
put
the
in your
hand
Japanese?
thing.
So was the idea behind the dynamite wrapped around their lower legs just to sneak it into the building, or was it
I think it was if they
bomb
get
mission?
captured, it's like a last resort. Because he said something like, there's no way
Gotcha.
you're taking those men without them setting off that dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, if you're going to kill the entire Nazi high command, that seems suicide mission
it's worth
worthy.
it.
Do you
Oh.
think there was ever a situation where those four were in the same building at the same time?
Yeah, because
Like,
they
was
were
that-
actually fucking idiots.
Well, this is
That's
about
one
the
of the
same.
things I love about this film and this kind of portrayal, where like Hitler and Goebbels are just these like giggling lunatic idiots. Because that's what they were. Like they were not smart guys. Goebbels was
Yeah,
good
they
at the
were-
propaganda. I'll give him that.
I mean, because
Yeah,
a year
they were-
before
You
this
absolutely
was
do not have to hand it to Joseph Goebbels, but
Yeah, they were weird nerds on meth. That's basically it. It's like
yeah, obsessed
Yeah.
with the
Hitler-
occult and
yeah.
bullshit.
Hitler had unlimited meth. He wasn't like a fantastically charismatic person. He just had a shitload of meth. You know, it's just yeah, obsessed with the occult that didn't amount to fucking anything. And
Yeah,
I
if
don't
you
know.
watch, I was looking up maybe a year or two ago, just like what was actually the last image of Hitler, and you realize that especially in the last 6 months of his life, he ages like 30 years. It's insane
Yeah.
when you look up like his final photos, because from 44 to 45, I mean, that guy was falling apart in like multiple ways.
And is that drug use, syphilis? I mean, I thought there were some
I
STDs
think
involved too. Any? Yeah.
Yeah,
All
a
of
bit
the
of it
above, I
all, a
believe.
little bit of everything.
That's
I mean-
part of being a Nazi is not dealing with shit. You know, he probably was. Who knows? I don't have syphilis. You have syphilis. In German. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean that's like part of Landa's whole turncoat thing in this is part of what's so amazing about it is that's exactly the shit a Nazi would do. Like that's
Yeah.
all part of it. It makes total sense.
Like that whole meme scene from Downfall is not accurate because that guy was like way more falling apart by that point in time.
Yeah, it just became a meme scene because it came out at the right time, I think.
Oh, it's
Like,
a great
this is kind
scene.
of a better Hitler.
It's a great scene. I'm just saying, like, realistically, in the last couple of days, you would have had a very wheezy, insane old man, and then they only got the insane part, really.
I mean, the best part of that meme is that every single one of them works in the name Stalin into the into the
'cause you
dialogue
can
because
hear
he
him
says
say
like
it.
Stalin. But yeah, this does hit differently now that we have more prominent Nazis and also movie theater shootings since
Hmm.
this came out. The Joker, what was
Oh, that
what's
would
his
have been the year before
guy?
this, the Joker one.
Was
I
that
think it was
Rises?
4
I think
years
that was
after.
Rises. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
couple
I
years
thought it
after.
was Returns. I thought it was the Dark Knight.
No, it was
Yeah, it
it
was a
was a
couple years
bad one.
after. So, before this
It-
what became more realistic, unfortunately, I guess. I guess I was
yeah.
burned down a theater, but yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
As-
not a whole lot of nitrite prints stored in movie theaters these days, so
which is
he
So
could burn down the
for some reason,
projector.
I kind of remembered them stringing that stuff around the theater, and that didn't happen. They just had a big pile of it behind the screen. But man, that was an intense scene. Once the
Oh man, when
projection
the
started to
projection on the
light up the smoke,
yeah,
oh,
that
it was
looked
like she was cutting it out
incredible.
of the. Yeah, amazing.
Hell yeah, she should be in a movie. She's just very dramatic.
I mean, I guess it just gets I guess as far as set pieces go, this is Tarantino's absolute best. I mean, Reservoir Dogs had several guys pointing guns at each other, which was I guess fun. But again, it's a bottle episode,
That was
like you said.
that was that was cool. But if you compare that to like the bar scene where kind of the same thing happens in this movie, I
Hmm.
way prefer that one. But I guess he also had a lot more time to work with because he was able to make a 2.5 hour movie, and they probably wouldn't have let him make Reservoir Dogs 2.5 hours.
Right.
Right.
I did like the nuance of what exactly a Mexican standoff is.
Mhm.
No, you have to be pointing a gun at me. You got a gun, we got grenades. That's a Mexican standoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
guess
then he
it's
gets
more
shot anyway.
psychological in the end. So
Oh, there's multiple scenes where a Nazi sort of negotiates and just gets shot anyway. That's
Yeah,
great
which
too.
again, I'm all for it.
Yep.
Get him.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess I don't know if there's like what the historical, if any precedent there is. I did come across a group called X Troop, which was German Jewish people that fought for Great Britain and got behind, German lines and tried to disrupt things and gain intelligence and
But yeah,
and that
the
kind of
French
thing.
resistance was obviously a real thing and was
La
absolutely key.
Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any specific movies about the French Resistance, but there
I-
probably is a really good one if anyone
Oh,
knows
I'm
about
sure.
one.
Again, I also haven't seen them, but they definitely exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking along the lines of like, like this, like an American group. There's actually a cool movie, like going back to my, Rod Taylor, thing that I picked up on called The Partisans, which is marketed in the US as Hell River, and also starring Adam West. So that's kind of cool, I thought. Where the Partisans were a Hungarian, some weird Eastern European country that I think is much smaller than that.
Moldovia.
Resistance fighters during World War II, and it was actually a really cool movie with practical effects, good music, epic scenery, and stuff like that. Which, I enjoyed it. The Partisans.
Cool.
Yeah, I was thinking watching this
All right.
a year earlier would have another plot to kill Hitler more historically accurate, and that failed. But in the movie, relatively failed too. Is Valkyrie, right? With
Valkyrie.
Tom Cruise and
The thing I really liked about Valkyrie was just it showed Germans who weren't on board with it, which I think is something that doesn't get highlighted enough.
I do remember
there was
going to the movie
resistance within
theater
Germany.
to see that
Yeah, I
and
saw
being
it in the
like it was
theater.
fine, and it's just everyone's forgotten it existed.
I also love that every
Um,
actor did a German accent except Tom Cruise.
I was gonna say I've never watched it, but I did hear that about it. But it's like might as well. But one of the things I really love about Inglorious Bastards is that there's no English speaking when it's like uncalled for.
Yeah.
He makes a point of it even in the opening scene. But I'm
I
like,
was like,
just-
okay. I was like, when he said, "Can we speak English now?" I thought, okay, this is just playing to the audience. And then when I realized that no, they're doing it so that the people wouldn't understand, I was like, guys,
yeah, good stuff.
That's that guy, that Landis. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Do I just not like English? I mean, I'd always want to watch stuff subtitled instead of dubbed. I don't know. Like I've definitely heard stuff like the dubs of certain anime in like Spanish are much better than the English ones. And I'm like,
That's
would I
just
rather
because
watch?
there's like a more of a culture of like really into it voice actors, right?
I guess. And it's like, I recently watched an anime that I just found online. I just found it dubbed and not subtitled, and I just went ahead and watched it anyway, and it still wasn't great, man. The voice acting wasn't. I'm sure it was veteran voice actors.
No, I used
Uh,
to I used to have adult students. I'd be like, oh, I want to study English. Maybe I'll watch the dubs of Miyazaki movies in English. I was like, no, do not do that. Do
Yeah,
not do that.
and even those have like real actors in them. It's not like
Well, it's because the way a
Because
Japanese
they're
kids
not
talk.
voice actors.
But you have the way a
uh
Japanese kid talks, and then they try and change it like this, and it just doesn't work. I remember seeing a bit of a original Dragon Ball dubbed, and Bulma suddenly,
oh.
instead of sounding like a Japanese girl, suddenly sounds like a 55-year-old woman, which doesn't work.
I think that's because they did the dub before that, way after they did the dub for Dragon Ball Z. So it probably was a 55-year-old woman, but But also, I mean, hell, I like my Japanese Goku. Like my Goku is a 90-year-old grandma, and I do not apologize. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I much prefer dubbed only because it looks and sounds more, integrated. And then also, I think when I'm reading subtitles, it keeps me off my other screen, which I hate to, kind of admit that, but it does keep me more engaged with with what I'm watching.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I'm trying to remember which director was making the point that they never wanted to put subtitles in their film because they thought the way the actor's saying it is much more important. And once you have subtitles, you're no longer paying as much attention to
Well, that's
how
I
they're
will
actually
say,
delivering it.
watching it yesterday when I didn't have subtitles for all the foreign scenes, even though I don't speak very much French or German, I could tell what was going on. Like,
Yeah,
So
from
yeah, I
actors'
mean,
nuance and from everything, like it's not like you can't figure stuff out.
yeah, one of the things we talk about in my field all the time, and I'm sure other fields do too, is that, in communication, it's like 65% body language, 30% tone, and 5% words, or some variation of that, of that ratio. So, I would think even if you're reading subtitles, you're still, you're not just looking at the bottom, eighth of the screen. You're still getting tone and body language and that kind of thing. So I think that director's probably misplaced in their concern.
That's as long as you have actors that are good enough to use body language. I'm gonna assume whoever said that has good actors. That sounds like a good actor working with ass thing to say.
Yeah, and I still haven't recalled who said that either. So maybe I shouldn't have brought it up then. I don't know.
Hey, send us a tweet on X if you know who the guy is. Well,
one thing when I first saw this film, just I was the first couple years in Japan, we didn't have when I was in Japan, I didn't have an iPad yet. I was still reading paper books, and paper books for in Japan in English are a little hard to come by. But I'd kind of focused on reading Eastern Front books, World War II Eastern Front, which was a way nastier scene than the Western Front. So, when I first saw this movie, I was like, oh, this is just the Western Front, which I guess, people are getting shot and die. It's still bad, but I'm hoping someone can run with that. I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but just the disparity
Well,
of
I
our
was going
view
to
of
ask
the
you,
war.
what was the, I mean, just stereotypical and kind of like probably, me being atypical of middle-aged white guys. I don't really have a vast, deep dive interest into World War II like a lot of guys have. But, I think of, the European theater as being, a lot of air raids, a lot of, you know, tanks, a lot of that kind of thing, artillery. In the Pacific theater, I think of it as being more, island to island, that kind of thing. Some deforestation, a lot more hand to hand, like taking each island at a time. Is that sort of what you're getting at, Matt?
Well,
I'll
Matt's referring
specifically
not to
cite
Matt's referring to the Eastern Front in terms of the Russians fighting Germany.
Got it.
which
Got it.
was
Got it.
just
Sorry.
men
Yeah.
being poured into the meat grinder in their
Yes.
millions for years.
Specifically
Yeah.
referring
Yeah.
to Stalingrad and Leningrad by Antony Beevor, if anyone is interested.
Yeah, Stalin just poured a bunch of guys into that meat grinder, and then he imprisoned the rest of them and shot a bunch of them.
You know, and I think about 500,000 Americans were killed in World War II in our participation, and it was
Mhm.
something like 10 or 20 million Russians
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
that were.
That's
yeah.
one. I mean, you know, there were many things very wrong with Stalin, but him copying an attitude about the fact that his country paid a bigger due was correct, although it was also kind of his fault. So,
Yeah, it's literally just the Zap Brannigan waves and waves of men thing.
Yeah.
So do you guys think this counts as a meta movie?
if
He
you wanna-
literally, right at the end, looks at the camera and says, "I think this is my masterpiece,"
Yeah.
having just shot Hitler to death. Which,
Yeah.
like, I agree.
I guess that's your answer.
So yeah, there's definitely some
Yeah.
meta in here, and it's set in a film theater, a movie theater.
Yeah, I mean,
It
I
features a
still like
German,
this.
like Nazi movie.
Oh, there's
This,
so
this
much.
is an appropriate amount of meta movie where there's also
Yes.
plenty of substance as well.
Oh yeah, he slips in so much film dork just into the DNA of this movie. Where it's
Yeah, I like
Mhm.
that.
I hired Samuel L. Jackson just to come in and explain film trivia.
I mean, I'm glad he got paid for this. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I put in my notes. I feel like I don't know any more about film than I did when I watched this the first time. There's still like people dropped that I don't know who they are.
I know that the film itself was flammable. I didn't know that before.
Yeah, I don't know. I've known some people that have there are some film festivals that are like nitrate film festivals in the US where you can
They like
go,
to
I
live
think.
on the edge.
Yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot of it still in existence for obvious reasons, but you can go and like have a weekend in I think upstate New York somewhere and watch this and that, a few of them that have been preserved that otherwise would. I mean,
No, listen, man, you haven't watched Metropolis unless you could have died watching it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that's the source of most films being lost, right? I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
because
see
that
if
stuff
David.
was more destroyable.
We'll see if David Zaslav ends up deleting more movies than we're lost to nitrate. But you know, did I say nitrates?
He'll have a reverse film preservation where he finds classic movies and destroys them.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, it's nitrate. I'm sorry, nitrites is what's in hot dogs.
Oh,
The other
Oh.
dangerous thing.
Oh, so it's good I didn't eat that hot dog yesterday. I bought borscht instead from the convenience store. Convenience store borscht.
Wow. Wow. I didn't have that on my Japan bingo card.
convenience store.
Storsh. So would you guys play yourself in a movie about yourself?
Oh God, no. I don't want to be in
Yeah.
a movie. That sounds annoying. I'll make the
I would-
soundtrack.
I'd probably do it.
I would want Matt to play me in a movie.
Okay, I'll play you
Alright.
in a movie. That works.
There you
We all play each other in different movies. So that
Yeah.
works. No, I wouldn't want to play myself. How could you get into that role? You know?
I think it depends on how much of a
I
weird
basically,
incel you are.
I'm always playing a role.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
made
mean,
myself
I'm,
a cartoon character.
if
when I
you
shaved my
played
head and just
yourself-
leaned into it.
If you played yourself, you'd miss the most interesting nuances because you'd be cutting them out because you don't want to show people that, right?
That is true. That is somewhat true.
Someone
But-
else will take it and run with it, and then it'll be interesting.
But you know, sometimes I do just like the other day I was at a bar for a friend's birthday and I just did find myself gesticulating wildly and dominating the conversation. I was like, oh, I am a star.
Well,
I don't
it's
know,
like
that's it.
the famous like Charlie Chaplin losing the Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest, right?
Oh man. Yeah.
Because he probably doesn't lean into being Charlie Chaplin as hard as everyone else did.
Yeah. He doesn't
I-
seem like he would be much like Charlie Chaplin in real life.
I accidentally won a Matrix costume contest once. That was fun.
You just dressed that way.
No, I always wore a black coat at the time, and I guess I was wearing a black T-shirt, had sunglasses, and we went to see the premiere of the second one, not Revolutions. What's the second one? Reloaded.
Reloaded, yeah.
And they're like, and then I was just sitting there like, this guy wins. I was like, what? Huh? I think I was still wearing the sunglasses because the contest was going on, though. To be fair, you know, like, well, I'll look more right if I do wear the sunglasses.
So you didn't even like plan for that. That's just how you rolled.
Yeah.
just rolled up looking all like Neo.
Yeah, like 2000 style, right? That style in
Heck
2000.
yeah, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
Luke, I
Well,
know you
I'm
got
gonna
a
have to bid you guys adieu.
film or
So
filth then.
I'll leave the listeners with this message. This is a film. Nazis are filth. If you meet a Nazi, punch him in the face.
I thought that was gonna rhyme.
Nice. Doesn't have to.
Filth, punch him in the dilf.
Yeah. Dilf.
Make them
just like I'm out.
get them executed by a MILF.
Okay. I'm sitting here. If either of you guys have big points to dredge up, feel free to. But I am starting to scan the 1-star reviews here.
I also think this is a film, and
Oh, yeah,
also punch Nazis.
This is Tarantino's film period. I mean, this and Django are his most filmic films. But for me, I guess I like just in pure enjoyment factor, I like it when his films are like a little jankier, you know? This one's not
makes sense.
janky. This one is like really well constructed. I mean, as far as just on a filmic level, yes, this and Django are his best.
I'm very lucky in that this is my favorite and Django is my second favorite. And okay, Kill Bill Volume 1 is my third favorite, and that can't win them all.
Right. Mike, where you on?
I'm going film. If anybody's asking,
Yes.
I don't have a rhyme. I don't think I can top. This is film. Nazis are filth. If you see a Nazi, kill him with a MILF.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I can't top that. So it's film. I enjoyed it. It was just kind of edge of your seat tension at times, and then there would be something that came along to cut the tension with a pretty good laugh here and there. So yeah, man, kudos.
It was a little funnier this time watching it, so that was certainly going
right.
for it. Okay, 1-star reviews. I guess I'll just go with the first one. I like this title, but I think it's not a real 1-star. Not good enough to be satire, not bad enough to be good. Which sounds actually like a 5-star review. How long is this one? They have 101. Okay, disaster movie.
Wow.
Probably the worst, quote, film I have ever seen. Shame on IMDb saying this is a drama thriller war film. Nothing of the sort. What? Saving Private Ryan would come into that category, not this dreadful mess of a movie. It looks and feels like the writer-director, so-called, has made it up as he goes along, as the whole thing is uneven and drifts from drama to farce and various other genres. It's part parody, part fantasy, part black comedy without being funny, and proved to be a total waste of my time, and goodness knows why. I did not bother to turn it off sooner. Sorry, I put a long pause in there. Oops. Brad Pitt is a complete embarrassment, and he looks like he got out of his VIP chair to ad-lib his role. Okay, and then it kind of goes on for a while. At the end though, now have to ask rhetorically, why do the members here give this movie over 8/10 on average? Further, why are the box office takings almost twice the apparent budget? Seems that a few influential but totally out-of-touch film reviewers and some clever, misleading marketing has duped a lot of people into believing there is some worth in this disaster of a movie. That's kind of the sophilist claim of a movie, I guess, but whatever.
Well, I found one that I like.
Okay.
Terrible waste of money and time by Lightning Dutch. That's one word. This is from 2009, so pretty close. I will never go to another Tarantino movie again. The entire film was worthless. My wife and I both regret that we didn't get up and walk out at the first indication of what the film was really going to be about, which is still hard to determine since it was such a ridiculous storyline. Blood, guts, and violence seemed to be the only real theme. But we kept hoping there'd be something redeeming just around the corner. Unfortunately, there wasn't, because there wasn't anything that made sense. We, along with a lot of the other people in the audience, walked out of the theater muttering, "That was disgusting. What a waste of time. I should have walked out." Wait, they walked out saying they should have walked out? Where was the comedy? That was pathetic, etc. It actually made us, the audience, voice our disgust and the feeling that we had just been thoroughly ripped off. The only thing of merit in the film was the costuming and the acting ability of almost everyone in the film. There just wasn't a plot script worthy of their talents. I rate this a 1 because there isn't a 0. I can't quite understand how anyone could rate this higher than a 0. Probably because you can't. 260 out of 506 found this helpful. Yeah, I love
So that's not a real one. That's actually a zero.
I never believe anyone when they say that multiple people were all walking out, all talking, saying these things. It sounds like absolute
You can't keep
fiction.
track of that much. Yeah, I do like the title of this one. Just says this one ain't death proof. Since we were flagging that one off a bit earlier.
Some people love Death Proof.
I guess so.
No, we've had a guest that said they love Death. I can't remember who it was. Wasn't you, Mike? Was it? Not trying to put you on the spot.
I don't think I've seen Death Proof more than once. Like I think I
Okay.
rented the double feature, if you will, and watched it once all the way through, and that was about it. And I think they're showing, like I've noticed lately, I think they're just showing half of it pretty regularly on cable.
Yeah, they
Half of it.
re-edited Planet Terror and Death Proof to be complete movies. I actually never saw. They didn't show the Grindhouse double feature in Japan, so I've actually only seen those movies as like discrete movies. I never
Gotcha.
saw the combo with the fake trailers and stuff.
This is probably a boring story, but I remember having free passes to go see it at the drive-in, and it was freezing cold, so we just decided not to go. Yep, see?
Faster or funnier, man. Faster or funnier.
0 out of 3 people found this helpful.
Sorry, you can make your point. I just couldn't help it.
Oh, we just watched it on DVD later. That's all.
Oh, that is a boring story. Okay.
I also want to say that I didn't see Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, but it looked pretty lame compared to the original trailer. So I don't know. People seem to think it's good, but I was just like, man, the original trailer was so wacky that I was hoping for something like that.
I know regular guest Andrew loved it, but he loves a lot of movies.
Yeah, I mean, he's more of an Eli Roth fan, and I just don't really like Eli Roth's stuff except for that one trailer. Like Andrew is a fan of serious horror, and that's cool. It's just not really my thing all that much.
Let's see. I'm just taking a look to see if I have any notes on this one. Oh, here we go. Don't want to side with the Nazi, but Scotch is the correct choice. But then it turned, oh, the Scotch was a scam. Now I can be cool with Scotch again. Okay, that's nice.
Mhm.
That's how he tricks him into learning he's a spy, right? But it was the correct choice. Yeah. Oh, hey, Mark, since we just finished season 1 of Space 1999, I did like the hexagonal film containers that look like 40s Space 1999 containers. Did you note that? With the nitrate?
I mean, that's kind of what film canisters look like now, even.
Yeah, I know.
It's just, film canisters haven't really,
It's just I watched, Space 1999 one night and this the next, so it tracked.
Makes sense, yeah. Well, having done some time in a movie theater, there's, you do not want to carry one of those up a flight of stairs. It will hurt you.
Oh, yeah, I never had to do that. No, I got spoiled in university because we had the university union, which I was part of, so I could just like stroll in a theater. So I actually knew how to fix the projection machine at the time, which I had to do a few times. So, but yeah, I never watched movies on TV. I just would go and see whatever on actual film for like 2 years. That was great.
Well, it's like I'm as much a fan of movies on film as anybody, but you can 100% see why like film companies were just dying to go to digital as quickly as possible because they're paying.
Oh yeah, it's like how
tremendous amount of money to ship these.
I read books on my Kindle because I don't want to lug books around with me and have to find books and buy books all the time.
Yeah, imagine you're the book distributor and the books all weigh like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
And then you have to ship them. You have to ship them from place to place to place after, and then you store them, unless you're what was it Universal who screwed up and lost a bunch of film prints in a fire?
Well, if you call it fire,
I hope I'm not
up,
slandering.
Sure. Yeah, it was Universal.
I'm not slandering.
The Universal lost
fire a screw up.
Universal, I think, lost their music masters. I know.
There were prints lost too, but that was a separate fire, I think.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's all sort of fire. I mean, flammable things sometimes catch on fire, I guess is the bottom line.
That's what this movie could have been called. Flammable things sometimes catch on fire.
No, I think that they chose a better title, even if they spelled it wrong.
I should have asked this while Luke was still here, but what do you guys think about how ethical is it to reuse a song that was made for a previous film in a new film, but specifically cat people?
Weird choice. I like Bowie, you know that. But
yeah, it was interesting because it's obviously 25 years or more separated, 30 something, I'm sure. But man, I enjoyed that sequence.
I think since it's an
Yeah.
anachronism, it's a weird reference. I think it
Yeah,
works because it's put so out of place here. Like it's a statement, it's not like they're just like
Yeah.
reuse. It's like if you had a love scene in a rom-com now and decide to put like in your eyes, that's not cool, right? Then you're just doing say anything. But in this
Yeah.
case, it's a complete, I mean, it's not even, it doesn't belong there. It doesn't make sense there. And it kind of works in a cool way.
Aside from that, it is a scene like a whatever movie about a fire, but
I haven't actually seen that movie, so I didn't even
I
make
mean,
that connection. I'm just like, this is a weird place for a Bowie song. Is it because he came Zeke Heiling out of his plane in '75?
maybe the connection is that Giorgio Moroder produced it and he's German, so
Okay, that's a
get
little
it.
tenuous, but sure.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that song. I did it in karaoke once, and it's kind of
No, it's not my favorite Bowie by any means. So
I mean, I love him and Moroder a lot. It's just sort of I wanted more from their collaboration, but I think Moroder was kind of burning out at that point.
yeah.
Yeah, it just when I watched that sequence and listened to that music, that song, it just seemed very determined, very driven, serious, focused, and kind of dark.
Yeah, I guess it's the darkness that is supposed to come through there, and I guess to give her like a little bit of a somewhat more modern edge to relate with, like, oh, she's being like a modern style badass, not just like some old film badass.
Yeah, I was kind of convinced at that. Now that song wasn't playing when they blackmailed the film developer, right? I don't think there was any
It was
background
pretty
music for
late in
that.
the movie.
It was
Yeah.
just sort of her gearing up for the big old
Right.
burn.
Yeah, it was when she was getting dressed up,
Burn,
right?
burn.
She was getting putting the red dress on and makeup.
Getting ready
and
for the
she
premiere,
kind of had her
yeah.
makeup with a
Getting
little
ready
bit of
for-
war paint.
Getting ready for
a
Burning
time.
Man.
Yeah.
The first Burning
But I was
Man.
convinced she was a badass with the convincing the developer to develop their 35 millimeter film with sound.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing because I've heard plenty of stories about people who worked at like Eckerd's or something, and they would just see everyone's film that got developed. Like, yeah, I've seen nude pictures of everybody who brings film in here.
You
Back in the day.
you can go see Robin Williams' one-stop photo, 1 hour photo, right?
That's a good movie.
Creepy Robin, yeah.
Creepy, yeah, real creepy. But anyway.
I guess we'll pull in the
thoughts.
jets. We'll light the theater on fire, light the nitrate on fire for this one, unless someone has a final point they want to throw out. Lighting the nitrate.
No,
I'm watching Mark's
Great
brain sputter here.
I still have not
just
forgiven
great hanging
UPS.
again with you guys, man, and always a good excuse to watch a.
You just
absolutely.
Yeah, as we wind down, you just had a drop yesterday, I believe, as my phone has alerted me for the Orville podcast.
Yeah, so we got invited to participate in virtual TrekCon number 5, and so that gave us an hour kind of in front of that crowd that's put together by the Seventh Rule podcast, Ryan T. Husk and Shirok Lofton and Anne-Marie Siegel and Melissa Lago, who kind of are the key players there. So Jessica Lynn Verdi and I interviewed Doug Drexler, who we've been meaning to get on our show for a supplemental anyway. So we did that live Saturday morning, and just took the audio and the video, dropped it on our YouTube channel as well as into a podcast. So always great to talk to Doug, man. That he is a guy who's been in the industry for 40 years. He is enthusiastic. He's a bundle of energy. He'll talk about anything. And he's a guy that has reinvented himself several times, which I really admire. He started off in, doing makeup in the industry, got an Academy Award with Dick Tracy, and then went on to work for Next Gen. Went into art design and then was able to successfully make the jump from practical effects to CG, and has just kind of kept rolling. Worked on Battlestar Galactica as well as the Orville, and is just it just kind of keeps trucking. And keeps finding ways to adapt and move on and be relevant. And I was really looking forward to talking to him. I mean, just from a personal point of view, at a certain age, I think it's important to just kind of reboot your life every number of years.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think the Hindus say every 7 years.
That's how long your skin lasts, isn't it? Every 7 years you have new skin.
Yeah, it's all tied together.
I think that's how long it takes if you swallow bubble gum for it to come out.
Mm. So it'll come out just in time for your new skin.
Is Drexler what's
my
his
new
ship?
religion.
He designed, was it Defiant? Was it? Is that his?
Nice.
I think the Enterprise NX-01, I think was one of his. And definitely the refit. I know he was credited for that. And then on the Orville, some bridge redesign, shuttle, the shuttle bay, and just sort of like overall, just kind of like leveling things up for season 3.
Cool.
All right. As for us, you can support us on Patreon at Podcastius, where we do lots of podcasting. I talk about the Twilight Zone Time Enough podcast. Mark and I, and occasionally Mike, talk about Space 1999 on Podcast 1999. Luke's off the meeting now, but you can hear more of him on Luke Loves Pokemon, High Rural Field Report, can't say it today, and Game Show. There we go.
Well, and as always, kill Hitler.
Okay, yeah, death to all Nazis. That works.
I couldn't not do that line since my voice is doing this now. You guys get that reference, right? No.
No, what were you going for?
Danger 5, where there's like an eagle that was his catchphrase was "as always." Kill
I
Hitler.
still haven't. I know you told me to watch that, but I still haven't seen it.
I highly recommend you both watch it. It's great.
That's the one you told me to chase Garth Marenghi with, was it?
Yeah, it's perfect chaser for that. And the first season is like sort of a Thunderbirds, it's like swinging 60s thing, and then they do a second season that's all 80s synthwave, but Hitler's still alive.
Oh, okay.
It's like really incredible.
Mike,
Australian
have you ever seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
No.
I think I think I'm speaking from our, would highly recommend that. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah. I recommend that over Danger 5, but pretty close.
It's a fake 80s show. It's actually made in 2004, but it's supposed to be this like buried British horror show from the 80s, which
it's sort of like if Clive Barker was Stephen King, and he was so famous in like 1983 that he had his own like hospital drama about spooky things happening, but you're watching him narrate like a making of it in the future, but it's hard to explain it. Even like I'm coming apart trying to explain it, but yeah, it's
if you watch a minute of it,
yeah, Darth Marenghi's Dark Place going on the list.
Yeah,
I think there's only 6 episodes. You can watch all of them in like just over 2 hours, I think. But
true, yes.
But it's
like most of my favorite shows, just 6 episodes.
And that's is it Matt Berry who's kind of become a breakout since?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. He was on Peep Show. I haven't seen that yet.
He's in a lot of things.
Okay, he's in a lot of things.
But I mean that was the first thing I saw him in. But yeah, he's been in like he was in the IT Crowd, the Mighty Boosh, and obviously now What We Do in the Shadows, which is going to enter its final season. And again, I'm excited that it's going to go out on top because I like it when things end when they're still good. That seems to be his first credit. Weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was right at the outset.
I had no idea. I assumed he'd done stuff before that,
but Mike, the next one I have your name on for, and actually maybe the last one, I need to start giving people the list again, is The Great Dictator, which we'll be doing it about a month and a half, I think. So
that's great. I'm glad I'm glad I signed up for that one because it made me think of all the Charlie Chaplin conversation in Inglorious Basterds made me think of that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think we got like 3 Chaplins on the list because obviously City Lights and Modern Times are going to be somewhere above that. So
I've actually never seen The Great Dictator, so I'm kind of excited to watch it for the first time. I don't know how I've managed to not watch it, but
I think I have it on disc. Yeah, I don't. Although I've seen it maybe once. I mean, if you want, if you want to watch Chaplin, you're more likely going to go watch City Lights or Modern Times or The Gold Rush or something.
yeah,
But it doesn't take away from that being a good movie. So.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it.
And for the other ones, I have you listed for some Twilight Zones and Space 1999s, but I'm putting a little month in as a breather for between seasons on both of those podcasts, so there's some time.
Good.
It's kind of nice to
Good,
because
good, good.
Space 1999 we were kind of on that like I gotta just do it here now, do it, get through it.
Yeah, we're
You're like,
roughly
just
8 days ahead on that, I think.
Yeah, so now we'll be
did
like
you guys did I hear you say that you finished Space 1999?
season 1.
The first season.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
come
So
back
you
for
still
season 2
have,
if you dare.
Yeah, his name's on a
The
few of
Dorkons.
the. Yeah, I think you're on
Did
the
I
list for
get-
Dorkons.
Did I get Bringers of Wonder? Like I was
I think so. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Okay, which I was surprised at that, but then you were like, "Yeah, but dude, you were the only one that signed up for anything in season 2." And I was like,
No,
okay.
just
Like, I'm not.
because I originally said season 1, so I'm sure that
Oh,
other
gotcha.
folks will be there. We just started sending BC all the links, so he shows up whenever he can now. So.
Yeah, and then yeah, I'm not. You guys can. I don't think I'll do the Dorcons.
Cons.
Are you guys going to talk at all
Dorcons.
about that short film that
They showed it in 1999. Yeah, we're going to do that at the end.
Sandy,
Yeah.
Sandra recorded.
Yeah, we're going to do that at the tail end as a probably as a short one, but since the film's
I
also
did.
short.
I watched a few interviews and was surprised to find out that she is very British. That was it's like,
I thought she was one of the Italians until you told me otherwise.
I mean, yeah, I assumed she had some kind of accent, but it makes sense that I couldn't identify the accent because she made up the accent. Yeah, it's just I don't know. And like watching her talk was like, wow, you are such a charming British lady. I wish they just could have let her be a British lady.
Oh well.
It's almost like she would have been too charming.
Yeah, she has a cute accent.
Yeah, because she did have sort of a vaguely Asian accent, right?
It was supposed to be vaguely European because the character was
Okay.
going to be Italian, and then the Italian thing fell through for some reason. So they just changed. Her name was going to be like Sandra Benettini or something like that, but then they changed her name to Bennis because it was like coffee shop the guy went to, and then just like
With Elaine Bennis.
told her to, yeah,
Monk's coffee shop. Yeah,
of course. No, he just told her to make up an accent, and she just decided to make up an accent. So it's like almost her kind of pretending to be Italian, but not quite. So
clearly,
I don't know. The whole
attracted
thing is
accents.
pretty amusing.
Married to a lady with an
she-
accent. Half the ladies I dated in the past had accents.
I don't think I've ever dated anyone with an accent. That's weird. And I'd never thought about it until now. So I've been like white bread American all the way down, except for I don't know, a lot of I don't know.
Lebanese.
probably some Southern accents in there too.
No, yeah, no, not really Southern accents. There's like not a whole lot.
Atlanta's
of them
pretty
here.
neutral, depending on. Yeah, I mean, Atlanta's I think very neutral. I flew for AirTran for 10 years, so I spent a fair amount of time in the ATL.
I do stand our airport. I defend our airport. I think it's cool. I think it's good that I know that I can get to a gate because it's all rectangular.
Well, pre 9/11, Mark and I, when we were teenagers, we would just go hang out at the airport.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal machine. Like if you get on any of these, like, My Flight Radar 24, or any of these websites where you can see the way they pump airplanes in and out, and they reconfigured some taxiways so that you never cross a runway. You never have to cross a runway, so you can just keep. I mean, you just never stop. I mean, it's an amazing machine. It really is.
And there's a specific. I found out there's a specific time of day when you can drive down 285 heading west, and you'll see multiple airplanes sort of heading towards you. So if you go there when it's kind of like overcast, then it just looks like weird lights in the sky. It's really cool. I don't know.
I guess the airport that got my attention the most was Gibraltar. You know, it's like just a little
Huh.
spit of land, so they built it out into the bay, and you have to cross the runway just to get into town. Like when a plane takes off, they have like railroad crossings go down, and then the plane takes off.
Wow. I mean, oh wow, I'm looking at it now. That looks insane.
I didn't land there. I went across the runway to go into town.
I think
By foot, I think.
The weirdest one I remember flying into is San Diego because it's a thing where you fly like way close to downtown when you're flying in, and
You're kind of coming down that hill like with the hill. I mean,
yeah, it just looks like you're not gonna. It looks like you're just gonna dunk it in the ocean or something, and then there's the runway. It's just really weird.
Yeah, I guess the weirdest I've flown into is Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is
Jackson Hole.
Have you flown? I guess that's propeller planes, but have you flown into there?
I have not. We go into like Montrose, which is Hayden Steamboat Springs, which is that same kind of like, ski resort in a valley kind of thing. But I've flown as a passenger into Jackson Hole. An American was taking a Boeing 757 in there for a while. I don't think they still are, but you've got to basically take off and circle up until you can get enough altitude to go somewhere.
And I remember the attendants on that flight were clearly the B team, which was kind of fun. I mean, they were just weird.
That's a great view. I'm looking at the mountains behind it, but I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming, Mike, you probably have been to the Denver airport, but Matt, have you been to the Denver airport, the cursed airport?
When on the way to Jackson Hole, I actually left security because it was so weird. It was like 2004, and I needed to explore. I think they still had the weird murals at the time and stuff.
Yeah, it's great. I spent a weird amount of time hanging out there trying to like find all the stuff that's on the internet. Is
the bull that killed its own creator?
It's the stallion, yeah, with the red eyes.
Yeah,
oh,
okay, yeah.
We drove. My friend who dropped me off at the airport. We drove by it, and it was like, yes, this is terrifying. Yeah, I don't know. Great stuff.
I guess I'm gonna stop this recording and start getting ready for my work. So
yeah, the airport talk is gonna make a great Patreon chat.
Airport chat. Hey, there's people who are
oh, you guys do the whole thing? Yeah.
I mean, dude, yeah, that's
honestly,
I'm a little nerdy about it.
More people are probably into that than when you and I just start going off about synthesizers for 30 minutes. So
yeah, good point. You don't have,